Good morning and happy Sunday. We are going to begin our service as we always do by centering into that knowing, that awareness that there's only one presence and one power, God, expressing as me and as you. And when we remember that, we remember who we are and who the other is, then we can imagine a world that works for all. So no matter where you find yourself this morning, whether you are alone or with other people, and whether you're here in Ohio with us or whether you're anywhere else in the globe, join me here in this place.
Good morning. Welcome to our community of love and light as we joyously express God's greater vision in our lives. My name is Roberta McLaughlin, and I am happy to be assisting Reverend Joanne as your service coordinator today. Whether you're watching from right here in Westlake, from the next city over, or from across the globe, know that we feel your presence and are holding you in prayer. At Unity Spiritual Center, we are about transforming lives. Unity is more than a Sunday morning experience. We offer many opportunities throughout the week to expand your awareness of God and bring us closer to each other. Gather in community around the warmth of a bonfire and discuss Unity's teachings and ideas with your friends. Michelle Coles and Greg Scuderin bring you Unity Fireside Chats each Saturday evening at 5 through November 14th. 2020 is the year of perfect vision, seeing through a spiritual lens. How have you shifted to seeing things through a spiritual lens this year? We've all had an abundance of opportunity to practice. We are looking for creative submissions to include in our November 22nd service demonstrating your shift. This could include video testimony, a poem, a song, or any other creative idea. Submissions are due November 16th. More information is on the website. Please be sure to check our website regularly for detailed information on all of our ongoing classes and activities, and be sure to check out the special events section for new spiritual enrichment opportunities. Now, let's go to Bonnie and Jerry for our celebration song.
The lyrics of this song invite us, just before we're getting ready to say something to another person, to ask ourselves, what would love do now? But I am seeing that we can even use that power of our imagination prior to being in a situation of communicating with someone else, especially if it's someone you disagree with or don't get along with, or you're prepared to do a little defensive battle with, to just imagine that in advance, what would love do now? And who am I? And who are you in truth? And let that guide you before you even have that interaction. So please join me this morning to give that a try in your mind. What would love do now? 1, 2. before you say something you can't take away. Take a breath, then let it out. Try to think about what would love do now. Wondering if you should cross that line for good. Whatever you decide, ask yourself from inside, what would love do now? 'Cause everything is either an act of love or a cry for love. That's why for love we try for love. In the end, that's all we know is real. Whether right or wrong doesn't matter much as long as you let your heart decide. Ask yourself from inside, what would love do now? 'Cause everything is either an act of love or a cry for love. That's why for love we die for love. In the end, that's all we know is real. So whether right or wrong, that doesn't even matter. Doesn't matter just as long let your heart decide. As you let your heart decide, ask yourself from inside, what would love do now? As you let your heart decide, ask yourself from inside, what would love do now? It's so powerful. As you let your heart decide, ask yourself from inside, what would love do now?
Thanks, Bonnie and Jerry. Today's daily word is listen. And the affirmation is, in the quiet of my heart, I listen for the voice of Spirit. During the course of a busy day, I may hear all kinds of things: conversations, music, sounds from nature, traffic noise, and even my constant self-talk. Sometimes all that I'm hearing may numb me to the more intentional act of listening. As I listen, I become aware of the voice of Spirit. Its comforting, guiding presence feels like a homecoming. As I settle into a tranquil environment and begin to relax my body and my mind, I create a welcoming space of listening to the assuring voice of Spirit, discernible as my inner knowing. I breathe deeply and rest in this space. I go about my day listening attentively for the voice of Spirit expressing through all the people in my life. The scripture for today is from Luke, verse 11, chapter 28. Blessed rather are those who hear the word of God and obey it. The affirmation once again is, in the quiet of my heart, I listen for the voice of Spirit.
And so now as we center into our time of meditation and prayer, take that idea of listening even deeper, listening for understanding of who the other is and who I am in truth. And just remember, you are a part of me I do not yet know. Please join me. You are a part of me I do not yet know. You are a part of me I do not yet know. Mother, father, sister, brother, we are one, there is no other. You are a part of me I do not yet know. You are a part of me I do not yet know. Take it even deeper. You are a part of me I do not yet know. Heart wide open, eyes in wonder. I am willing to discover. You are a part of me I do not yet know. Even deeper. You are a part of me I do not yet know. You are a part of me I do not yet know. Look around with eyes of wonder. Look around with eyes of wonder. See no stranger in another. You are a part of me I do not yet know. Heart wide open, eyes in wonder. I am willing to discover that part of me I do not yet know.
As we begin this time of meditation, bring yourself into this present breath of now by taking in a slow, deep breath and gently exhaling. Sit up straight with feet on the floor. Let your shoulders drop and your eyes gently close. Feel the expansion and contraction of your body as your breath moves in and out. There is nothing to do. Simply allow yourself to be in harmony in this moment. Bring your awareness to your sacred heart center. Drop deep into your sacred heart, the place of perfect love and the gateway to your higher self. Allow your consciousness to expand far beyond the borders of your mind and body. Acknowledge your Christ consciousness, your power, your infinite potential. Connect to your I Am presence and know that you are one with the I Am presence of each person on earth. What you invoke for yourself, you invoke for the highest good of all beings as we acknowledge the oneness of all life. It is time to engage in the power of imagination, to see new possibilities for ourselves as family and community, as a nation, as one world. The time has come for a new dream, a shift in consciousness. You are awake and aware of a world in transition. Use this as an opportunity for growth. Listen, dream, imagine. Imagine into being the world that you want to see and live in. Are you longing for a future where we are all safe and secure in our bodies, free to pursue our dreams, and where our social, political, and economic institutions support not just our survival, but our thriving. Imagine a world where we are all safe and we are free to live peacefully. A world where we are all welcome, where powerful words like justice, freedom, and equality are more than just idealistic words, where love, peace, compassion, tolerance, forgiveness, and understanding are lived by all. Imagine what that could look like. The possibilities are endless. What will you wonder about to realize your dream of a better world for all of us? In this moment of silence, contemplate your vision of the world that you want to see and allow your imagination to inspire you. And now slowly bring your awareness back to your body and this physical space. Take a slow, deep breath and feel yourself clear and grounded in this present moment. Be in gratitude for any thoughts, feelings, divine inspiration, and possibilities that came to you in the silence. Commit to wonder and possibility as you ask yourself what action you will take in support of this new evolving world. As Valerie Kaur tells us, this is our moment to declare what is obsolete, what can be reformed, and what must be reimagined. We can begin to reimagine our world by reimagining our own lives right here and right now. We create the beloved community by being the beloved community. Let's join together to imagine a new world, a new way. Let's declare harmony, balance, and divine order for the new earth and all its people. May your heart and mind stay open to wonder and allow this moment to transform you. The time is now. Stay in this open space as we now move into affirmative prayer.
Good morning. It is time for prayer. Let's go upstairs. Dear Goddess God, who has the power in our country? The police? The politicians? In the world as it is, yes, the police and politicians have the power. But in the world as it ought to be, who would have the power? Divine One, the people. The people when they stand together with Goddess God in their hearts. Dear Mother, Father God, it is easy to see the world as it is, and it is easy to see the world how it ought to be. Perhaps it is wise for each of us to journal on the idea of what the world ought to be, so that we are imagining with you, because together as you and with you, we will create the world that ought to be. Our hearts full of love and happiness delight in receiving good instructions. We delight in being aligned with our holiness, active, creating, allowing the manifestations of social justice, divine order, peace, harmony. We delight in respecting and appreciating each and every one of our fellows. Thank you for being in our hearts, minds, feet, and hands. God guide us. We turn to pray for others now. We see the glorious intelligence, kindness, wisdom, and goodness in our fellows. Blessed are each of our family members, team members, neighbors, civic workers, friends, and opponents. Thank you for the stream of well-being that flows to them and within them. Thank you for their great health and overflowing prosperity. We speak their names aloud in this sacred moment. Juliana, Anne, Melvin, Scott, Roger, Patrick, Bruce, Carl, Jack. The Divine One is at work in our life, bringing about order, justice, and goodness. We claim our right to be safe, peaceful, and harmonious in all the activities and resting moments of our day. As we remember your holy abiding presence within today, we choose to be a willing channel through which you bring about the right solution in the right way and at the right time to serve the highest and best interests of all involved. We are open to divine guidance as order, justice, harmony, and goodness are established in each of us and every situation. Thank you, dear Mother, Father, God. Amen and amen. My name is Marilyn Velkerding. At 12 p.m., I will be in the Sunday Fellowship Zoom room found at unityspiritualcenter.com under virtual and outdoor ways to connect as community, Sunday service, and fellowship. In that fellowship gathering, Reverend Joanne will ask, who would like to pray, and then create a breakout room so that we may talk and pray in private. Great blessings of love and joy are with us today. Thank you, and come join us for prayer.
What kind of world do I want to see? What kind of world do I want to leave to my children's children? Now is the time to make up my mind, yeah. What kind of world is this gonna be? What kind of world will be my legacy to the generations for all humankind? It's time to decide what kind of world. Will it be peaceful? Well, am I? Will it be joyful and kind? Will it be all those things a child so easily describes? Oh yeah. Will everybody have enough? Will we speak in the language of love? Somehow I'm suspecting it's all up to what you and I decide. What kind of world do we want to have? When will we be ready to start giving back to this precious place? To every young face, tell every boy and girl, what kind of world? Do 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 do, whoa, oh, do do. Will it be joyful and kind? Will it be all those things a child so easily describes? Oh yeah. Will everybody have enough? Will we speak in the language of love? Somehow I'm expecting it depends on what you and I decide. What kind of world do we want to have? When will we be ready to start being that for this precious place, for every young face? Tell every boy and girl what kind of world. Oh, 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 tell every boy and girl. Oh, yeah. What kind of world? Do 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 do. Whoa. Do 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 do.
Thank you, Daniel. What kind of a world are we imagining with one another? This is the question that we are asking ourselves pretty much all the time here at Unity Spiritual Center as we gather together to discover, to understand with one another how to create a world that works for everybody. And we are intentionally focusing in our fall program this year on some ideas that can help us in a way of revolutionary love. We're using for that, of course, Valerie Kaur's book, See No Stranger, a memoir and manifesto of revolutionary love. And I want to just review real briefly what we have talked about so far. There are 3 focuses to revolutionary love, and all 3 focuses must be engaged. And so the first focus that we looked at together was to love others, those that we recognize as other. And those that we see as other are typically those people who don't have a particular charge, an emotional charge within us. Maybe the person who's checking you out at the grocery store, or the person that you pass along the street, or your neighbor. These are others that we see as somebody separate and outside of ourselves, but there isn't a great emotional charge behind our relationship with them. And so Valerie invites us to a practice of revolutionary love, and that practice being one in which we choose to see no stranger, to recognize and realize that each one is our brother or our sister or our mother or our father or our aunt or our uncle, and to know that if we see them as other, they're simply because they are a part of us that we don't yet know. And so we engage in this practice of keeping our eyes open to seeing each one in wonder, wondering about them and about their lives and who they are. And as we keep our eyes open in wonder, our heart stays open, and we engage in the practice of revolutionary love with other, seeing no stranger. So that might have been challenging for some of you, but for many, that is not such a big challenge when there's not a big emotional charge around it. But now we've moved into the middle part of the book, which is to see no stranger in our opponent. Our opponent who believes differently than us. Our opponents who have different ideas than us. Our opponents that have different worldviews than we have. And what I've heard this week is that this particular section of the book is really challenging, Joanne. Yes, it is. Because you see, unlike the other, where there was no emotional charge with our relationship with them, when we have an opponent, there is an emotional charge. We see things fundamentally different than each other. And in that place of difference, we rub up against each other. And I know for myself where I immediately go to when I run into the opponent is that place of defense. And as long as my heart is closed in defense, I can't engage in this revolutionary love. And so we are invited to take these ideas, take them and practice them with those who don't think like us, who may hold ideas different than us. This is not a new teaching, right? To engage in revolutionary love with those that we don't agree with. From the Gospel of Luke, chapter 6, Jesus tells us, if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who are good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. This is the opening statement that Jesus makes before he gets to the lines that we all know, right? And that is, love your enemies. Do good to them. Lend them without expecting anything back. Love your enemies. It's not a new concept, that idea of revolutionary love to our opponents. Within the unity tradition, Eric Butterworth tells us something similar. He tells us, and I found this on Truth Unity, it is normal to want to be with only those people with whom you are comfortable, but this is neither realistic nor healthy. If you were surrounded only with those who agree with you, life would be quite static. We must condition ourselves to enjoy and learn from diversity within unity. We are all children of God, yet we are all different from one another. Don't expect people to always agree with you or follow your styles or manners or mores. Don't expect people to live as you. Accept them as human beings, just as you want them to accept you. So here we have within our own spiritual teachings, within Christianity and what Jesus taught us, very similar ideas to what Valerie Kaur is inviting us to love, revolutionary love, our opponents. And so last week we talked about the practice to doing that. Revolutionary love means that I engage with this other in a conversation and listen for deep understanding. It's a listening for understanding. So this was a very public conversation on my Facebook page. So Larita, if you're out there watching, I love you, and I'm so grateful for you for having this conversation with me, because I'm sure it is a conversation that others within our community are also thinking about. Because Larita reached out to me and said, this is all great, but what happens if I've already listened to my opponent? I've already heard what they have to say. I already understand where they're coming from, and there's no movement towards meeting with one another. Don't you think that this is giving us false hope to think that we just need to sit down and listen to one another for agreement? What happens when that's not working? And I so appreciated Larita in bringing me that idea, because I'm guessing that there are others of you out there thinking the same thing. And so I think it's very important to remember that Valerie Kaur is not inviting us to this practice of deep listening to change the other's mind. She is not inviting us into this practice so that we can find a place of common ground. She is not inviting us to this practice to change that opponent. What she's inviting us to with that deep listening and that understanding is to allow our own heart and mind to be changed. Because what happens is when we see that opponent, we begin to see them as other, push them away in our defenses, and we are changed in the process away from this love that we in unity declare is the harmonizing power. I want to be changed, so that I don't move to defense, so that I don't move to anger or to hatred, but instead keep my heart open by deeply listening to you. Then I change. And so if there's anything I want you to hear about these ideas of opponent, it is that we are not going about this to convince someone that we are right. We are not going about this to be convinced that someone else is right. We are going about this to keep our hearts open in love, period. Because once we can do that, then we can continue to move through the activity of our lives open to that divine revolutionary love to reimagine a world together. But here's the other piece that I think we have to keep in mind. You recall that last week I shared with you that Valerie sees us creating an ethic of love within our greater society, but she didn't see that as happening next week or even next year. She sees this as something that we can move towards over the next 25 years. This takes time. And so what we are invited to is, how can I move through the activity of this day when I meet an opponent, listening deeply so that my heart can stay open in love, so that together, as more and more of us do this, love can be the ethic that we claim over a long period of time. It's like that idea of somebody believing, having faith in the future, that they're willing to plant a shade tree today even though they may never sit under the shade of that tree. That's the work that we are doing in revolutionary love. So I want to bring up something that I've been talking about actually for the last couple of weeks. And some of you may be tired of hearing this, but I think it's important because we are right in the middle, just over a week away from a political election that has caused so much divisiveness, so much polarization, so much of opponent against opponent that we can no longer hear one another. And what Valerie reminds us is that when we do that, when we other each other at that degree, we begin to take people out of their humanity. We begin to forget that they too are a mother or a brother or a niece or a nephew living their lives and having their beloveds in their lives. We forget. As instead we begin to see one another as, for example, the libtards or the Rethuglicans, or the baby killers, or fill in the blank, right? You've heard them all. You've heard all of the name calling that takes place. And what we do is we get into this habit of name calling one another so that we can keep ourselves from remembering our connection within our humanity. And in that name calling, in that your side and my side, we create this divisiveness that we're so sure they, the politicians in Washington, need to stop and heal. I read that this week. It was a reply to one of our Unity Spiritual Center's videos that was like, yes, but they need to stop dividing so that we can stop being divided. Well, let me invite you to a different perspective, a revolutionary love perspective, if you will, a way to go through this moment where there are so many opposing sides in a revolutionary way. And that is that we don't have to wait, that we are the people. We are the people. I loved Daniel's song coming into this. He's also been putting up a video on Facebook every day about the silence and the stillness that's been fabulous. And I watched that the other day, and he talked about, he knew it by heart, I don't, the preamble of the United States Constitution. And this is what it says. Thank you, Daniel, for this reminder. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, and promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. We, the people, not you, the politicians, we, the people, must come together and demand a way together to meet one another, deeply listening to one another, moving beyond the name calling with one another, opening our hearts and opening our minds. Some may be under the belief that I think you and I need to go out and look for ways where those opponents are showing up, because we have talked in this series about big issues like racism and the health inequality and the income inequality and all of those different injustices that we see in our world today. And so you might have this idea that I now have to go out and find big ways to make big differences. But what I'm inviting you to today is this understanding that all you need to do is step into this idea that I am we the people. And as I am we the people, and I pay attention to those ones who are in my life that I consider opponent because they're holding an idea different than me, that I have the ability to stop, to make the choice, to listen deeply, so that I can return to that practice of seeing with eyes of wonder, of curiosity, of wanting to know you and what moves you. And what gets you excited? And what are you hurt about? We are all living lives to the best of our ability. And we all have a vision of what we want this world to be. And it is up to us, we the people, to come together and to unite with one another. So I'm really aware, even in our little Unity community here, Unity Spiritual Center Westlake, what a beloved community it is. But we don't all share the same worldview. We don't all share the same exact ideas. We have opposing sides and different ideas. And sometimes it's a little bit scary to stand up here and share some of these things, thinking I might be adding to the polarization in our community because I don't want to do that. Each time that I speak about these things, it's coming from this place of our first and second unity principles, which is that God is good and absolutely present within everyone as that divine Christ light that we are. And that each one is a unique expression of the divine. And that each one should be upheld within their divinity, should be upheld within the divinity within our humanity. Having opportunities together to shine that divine light. That's where I'm coming from. How can we meet one another with opposing ideas and remember these truths together? So we don't have to go far to look. We can find it right here in our community. We can find it right within our families. We can find it right within our workplaces. We can find the opponents wherever we look. The opponent might even be in my own mind and the ideas that I hold in my own mind that are out of alignment with the truth that I know, the ideas that I hold of that other that I want to dehumanize, forgetting the divinity within their humanity. I can find an opponent in so many places, and I don't need to look hard. And I imagine you can too. But how can we, the people, come together and set aside those ideas so that we can find a place together to reimagine a world that works for all, that 25 years from now, love can be our collective ethic? So as I've thought about this, and as I've thought about what this particular time is for us with this national election that is so polarizing, as I invite us as community to this place of revolutionary love, I became aware of an organization that is out there called Braver Angels. Braver Angels is an organization committed to creating conversation. This is what Braver Angels says. We do not accept division. We reject normalizing of extreme polarization. We say no to the breakdown of the political and social lives that it brings. Our work is about restoring civic trust in the United States. It's about healing the wounds between the left and the right. It's about challenging institutions to be better, building community together, discovering what it means to be Americans together. Our work is about supporting that more perfect union that was talked about in the preamble of the United States Constitution of we, the people. And so they've created a dialogue opportunity after the election called With Malice Toward None. And I have decided that we at Unity Spiritual Center Westlake are going to participate in this. So this is what With Malice Toward None is about. We, the people, will have both the opportunity and the responsibility to seize the post-election moment by bringing Americans together in our communities. Now, here's what I want us all to remember. We're all longing for that November 4th date when this election will be done. But on that November 4th date, our work, the work of we the people, will continue. No matter which way the election goes, that will not change. And so we will come together to have, seizing this post-election moment, to have a conversation. The goal is to create a space for people to deal with their emotions, both positive and negative, to build our capacities for working together to address our common challenges, and to commit ourselves to a renewed citizenship. This is not about covering over strong political difference or encouraging people to support whoever wins the election. This is not that. Please hear me. It is about a commitment to respecting the humanity of those who differ from us. It is about recognizing our foundational role as citizens to be the architects and agents of a more perfect union. There it is, that perfect union, and we the people from the preamble of the Constitution. You see, I am done waiting for them to get their act together, to create a world that works for all. Unity is about each of us taking our individual responsibility and asking what is mine to do as we deeply listen to one another, as Valerie encourages us to do, but then together to reimagine what will our world look like as we move from November 4th forward. What will it look like if we, the people, come together and have these conversations? What will it look like if, as we, the people, come together and have these conversations, we begin to reimagine a world that works for all? What will it look like if then we begin to demand that our representatives in Washington do the same thing? It's beyond time. We must find a way to come together, and I believe we have the power within us to do so. We have the power of understanding within us. We have the power of harmonizing love within us, and we have the power of imagination within us. And as we engage in our wisdom together, we can reimagine a world in which revolutionary love is the way that we move through these days together. So as Loretta reached out to me on Facebook this week and asked, was I giving false hope? That all we had to do is sit down and listen to one another. I responded, this is where I find my hope. Because I recognize my job is not to convince anybody. It's not to change anybody. It's not that. It's to leave myself open to loving always, even when I want to close my heart down in defense. There's my practice. There's where I find my hope that I have the power to keep a heart open in love. And so this is what we are invited into this week, to engage in the power of our imagination. Imagination is that sky blue. Imagination is that watching the clouds go by and seeing the shapes and forms and imagining what can be there. Can we imagine together seeing the various shapes and forms of our world, and can we see beyond them to what beauty can be created as together we listen deeply to one another, acknowledging the feelings. Remember, that's a part of it, acknowledging the feelings that arise. That will be part of this with malice toward none experience. But then, rising up, we the people, to discern in wisdom and in love, where do we go from here? Just a couple of more details about that particular event. It will actually be a series of 4 conversations, and I'm hoping that information will be up on the website this week. I kind of gave it to marketing like really late Friday, so we'll see what happens. But what I know for sure is that on the 11th and 12th of November, a Wednesday night and a Thursday night, one day will be for those who are distressed by the results of the election, and the other day will be for those who are delighted by the results of the election. We'll come together separately first so that each one can process where they're at in that moment without the other side, without that opponent. And then we'll come together for what's called a fishbowl experience on November 22nd, a Sunday, so 12:30 after service. People will be invited in our Connecting in Community Zoom room to have what's called a fishbowl experience, where some of those on either side will participate in a dialogue, listening for understanding, while the others of us will observe that conversation. And then we'll come together one more time, the first Sunday in December at 12:30, to again come together and hold the intention and commitment that I am willing to move forward, releasing the divisiveness, releasing the polarization within my own thoughts, words, and actions, so that we, the people, can find a new vision for this world. So I hope you'll mark your calendars and plan to join me for those conversations. It is so important that we find our way. Nothing magical is going to happen on November 3rd. We will all wake up on November 4th with our work to do still. I don't care how this election turns out. I'm willing to do the work, and I'm inviting you to join me in doing that work. So, what is our practice for this week besides planning to come and join me for that conversation? What are we going to be doing this week? We have our bookmarks. There are still some available outside of Unity Hall that have intentions cards on it. Many of you have picked those up and you are sending me in your pictures, so we've gained 10 pictures now of your intention cards. Our web is growing. This week we're using the blue one, the sky blue one here, for reimagination. What is going to be your practice? So here's what you are invited to. This is a little bit bigger. I'm just letting you know. Take time this week to engage in the power of imagination and imagine the world that you would like to see. Do you know how much of my time is spent imagining a world I don't want to see? Let's shift that this week. Let's imagine a world we would like to see. Be as specific as possible in your imagination. What does this world look like, feel like? What do systems of care, government, justice, education, and healing look like in the world? Take the time to write down your vision. See it clearly in your mind. What would you like to see? What does that look like? And then here's the important part. Because just like we can't wait for those politicians in Washington to heal this division, we, the people, have to do the work. I'm inviting you to think about what is one action you can take each day to bring about that world that you see. And again, you don't have to go look way far for it. It might be that you create an opportunity for a conversation with a coworker that you've been pushing to the side to listen deeply with them. It can be a family member. It can be a spouse, right? It can be your children. It can be close to you that you practice these things, but each of us has a role to play. And that role is to show up moment by moment by moment in that place of open-hearted love. So what can you do each day to bring this vision, your vision, into demonstration? We are the ones we've been waiting for. And together, we will create a world that works for all as we each go about doing what is ours to do in loving wisdom. Thank you, and God bless.
This song is a little bit of a sneak attack. It seems, really, like it's about a person, me, or whoever's singing it, making a decision to crack wide open, to live large, to love big, to take a big chance. But the sneak attack is one line in the chorus that is also what the song is about. The line, "Bring in the dawn for humankind." That not only do I come back to life by making this decision, but I bring peace to the world. I make the world a better place. It is, in fact, the way I not only make me happiest and most fulfilled, but it is also the way I contribute most to the entire world. Here you go. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. About lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years, but I learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. About lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you to Reverend Joanne for an inspiring message, to Bonnie and Jerry for our music, to Marilyn, to Karen for our prayer and meditation, to Al and Terry and Kristen for getting us out there. When we join together, giving generously as each is able, we rise strong as a community. In community, your faith is nurtured and strengthened through Unity's teachings as your heart is moved and your conscience is stirred. Supporting Unity Spiritual Center in thriving today assures its continued presence as a community of transformation and light for future generations. You have been called to be here at this time, and what a difference you are making in the sustainability of our beloved community. Whether you are giving through Facebook, on our Unity website, or sending in a check, please hold your gift in your heart. Please bless your offering as I affirm for us all, I am an open channel through which prosperity flows.
Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful to see. At sunset I'm gone in a reverie. My beautiful bride, my baby smile. A country road rolling on for miles. But sometimes my eyes discourage instead, blurring the vision I have in my head. A dream I'm after fades further from view, till only the obstacles look true. And lately I wonder, if I were blind for a day, where would I go if my heart had its way? Would I see more than the doors that have closed in my face? If I were blind for a day. There's a girl in high school with a heart of gold, smart as a whip, she's brave, she's bold. But when she looks in the mirror, all she can see is heavy and ugly and unworthy. And I can't help but wonder, if she were blind just for a day, would she still be cruel to herself that way? Or maybe she'd see there's nothing she needs to change, if she were blind for a day. Blind for a day. Ooh. How do our eyes deceive us? Where does our vision fail? Whether parent or teacher, policeman or preacher, we see what we think we'll see. We believe what we're taught to believe. World on fire, world afraid. So we focus only on enemies made. Colors divide us, holy books too. Political parties, well, what else is new? Still I dare to wonder, if we were blind for a day, what kind of world would we create? If behind our disguises we find that we're all the same, if we were blind for a day, I'd like to think things would change, if only the blind would lead the way.
As we bless these gifts, we know God as our source. We recognize each giver as a channel through which God's good flows. We are grateful for the clarity, focus, ease, and grace through which our work is done. God's good moves us to action, and we are grateful. Unity Spiritual Center gives a portion of our offering to several other organizations, including a special organization we select each month. This month, we will be giving 1% of our offering to Fieldstone Farm Therapeutic Riding Center. Their horses help students build confidence and strength, making a connection without saying a word. Thank you for joining us this morning, and a special welcome to any new online guests. We are so happy that Spirit guided you to be here with us this morning. Our message next week is Seeing Through Reconciliation. Our power is renunciation, and the color for next week is russet. Our soloist will be Dedri Francois. Now, back to Bonnie and Jerry for our closing songs. See you next week.
I think as we imagine the world we want to see, most of us think of peace as one of those things, and yet peace is something that begins in me and it begins in you. So take those lyrics into your mind as we close our service today. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. On earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Can you imagine it? Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Begin with me, let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it be. The light of God, you are the love of God, you are the power of God, you are the presence of God. Wherever you are, God is. We are all that light. We are the light of God, we are the love of God, we are the power of God, we are the presence of God. Wherever we are, that wonderful power of imagination that is in you to imagine a world of peace, and let it begin with the things that you do this week. Go and be that light, and have a great week.